are talking to Henry, and Henry has a 2005 Toyota Sienna, and it is making a noise. Now, Henry, you mentioned that was coming from the left front. Is that correct?
That's what I hear.
Okay. We put it in front of our panel, and what they recommend that you do is you would be going to O'Reilly Auto Parts, and they do sell lift racks. So you're going to need a lift rack. So I would recommend first buying a lift rack and putting it in your garage. And you can go over here and talk to Lane, and Lane will let you know where you can mount this lift rack. And then you're going to need a stethoscope, an automotive stethoscope. All right. And then you can jump under there and have someone, a relative, your wife, whatever, get it inside the car and run it in your garage while you're under there. Now, your garage is probably not as tall as an automotive shop, so you'll probably have to squat down really low to get in there because you can't lift it up all the way. But then crawl around under there and touch each item and find out where it's coming from. So you're going to – I'm figuring this out, and I think you're going to have roughly – you'll get out finding the noise for under $20,000, no doubt. I mean, so you're going to be fine.
How much is the transmission?
Yeah, and you'll have the classiest garage on your block, so everything will be good. Now, Henry, I'm kind of cutting up, but in a way I'm a little bit serious. You've done a lot of the things that you are able to do yourself. You've listened to it. You've tried to isolate it. What I would recommend doing, instead of you taking a chance on spending money on something that may not be bad, is get a technician. And all those things I told you about, the lift rack, the stethoscope, the technician, all that, you can rent one. Find a shop that you really enjoy working with and that you feel like you can communicate with, and not somebody. If somebody says that they can drive the car down the road and tell you where the noise is coming from, that's not the right person. Because I've been doing this a long time, and I can still to this day hear a noise under the front, and I'll swear it's coming from the left side, and it'll end up being something on the right side.
It transmits.
Yeah, you can't tell. You need a technician that's willing to take the time and touch it with that stethoscope and touch this, touch that. I'm thinking that model may have a bearing on one of those shafts.
Yeah,
and
that's what I'm thinking too.
Yeah, and that bearing could be bad, but that bearing is not terribly expensive, but it's money that you don't want to just flush down the toilet. So go ahead and have it checked, and do find the person that's willing to take the time to listen under there, and not one that just says, I think it's this. Because you can't tell. No matter how good that person is, they can't tell you that that's the problem by just listening to it without a stethoscope.
The transmission shifts all right.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that little noise that started about 150,000 miles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I doubt you've got a transmission noise. It sounds more like you've got a bearing of some kind. Since it's changing with the speed of the wheels, like Jim asked you the question about, high probability it's going to be a bearing. You've already changed one bearing, but again, I have times where I swear it's one side and it'll be the other side. Matter of fact, there's times I'd bet $100 that it was coming from the left side and it turned out to be the right.
And if it'll make that noise on a lift with a technician with that stethoscope, I have one of them, you'll find it. He'll find it.
It'll bust that technician's eardrums.
Yeah,
Boosh.
go right to it.
Yeah. Okay.
But usually if it's a CV joint, I didn't replace the right front axle yet, but usually if it's a CV joint, it makes a clunking noise.
Yeah, a CV joint.
Accelerate.
Exactly. It would have more of a mechanical noise. You've got a bearing type noise somewhere, and it could either be the other wheel bearing or that CV shaft bearing, one of the two. So now you got to decide: should you spend $20,000 for the lift rack, or should you rent a technician? Oh, that's all right.
Okay.
Hey, good luck with it.
Thank you.
Thank you for the call.